إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل كما جاء في محكم التنزيل يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We begin always with an abundant praise of our beloved Creator, our provider, our sustainer, our guide, our merciful beloved. And we ask Him to send His peace and blessings upon the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who gave us the best example to live by so that we could find our path through our life in reaching death in the way to Jannah, inshaAllah. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gather us all in the eternal bliss of paradise as a result of our actions that we do in following the guidance that He has revealed to us. This time of the year, people are starting over, people are looking into paying the taxes, people are looking into what's the plan for this year. And there's a verse of the Holy Quran that talks about the concept of change and time. وَهُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ خِلْفَةً لِمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يَذَّكَّرَ أَوْ أَرَادَ شُكُورًا. So He is the one that causes night and day to go, time will pass, for the purpose that people will look back, see what have I done with my life and where am I going with it. And I need to make sure that my life is an expression of gratitude towards my Creator who gave me this life and this amana that I'm living in. So today we want to talk about a little bit of a specific note in guidance, understanding how guidance is applied according to the history of traditional scholarship, and having a sense of community and activism. This is obviously not the first sermon I've given on this, but the Prophet ﷺ and the Holy Quran repeat many concepts in order to motivate people to see the value of that lesson. So today we want to talk about how community is the core of a healthy Muslim progress, spiritually speaking. We have to have a jama'ah. That's why we call it Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. The people who follow the example of the Prophet and they stay together, unified while doing it. They don't allow khilafat fiqhiyya, differences of opinion in Islamic legal discourse, to lead them astray. So Islamic law is a beautiful, deep, spiritual concept. A lot of the other traditions that failed in secularism has come to the forefront because their legal tradition was not able, nor was there a true spiritual aim in the leader of the other groups of religions, and so a lot of oppression and corruption happened. So secularism came forth and they said religion is the problem. And now unfortunately you have in Muslim countries, you're having them saying we don't want religion in our country, it's going to cause problems. And if we study Islam, we will see the beautiful reality. Unfortunately, what the Muslim situation is right now is that there's a stagnance. There's this, well, Islam is what I saw people doing, or what some sheikh said that I heard in a khutbah, or one website I turned and I found a fatwa. They're thinking this is Islam in its absolute complete reality. And this is not Islam in its absolute complete reality. Islam is something that you constantly have to search for your understanding and growth. Back to the ayah. Why are we saying Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim at least 17 times a day? Because we're supposed to be rethinking why we do and what we do. I was visiting with a brother from Texas in my vacation, and he asked me, we're supposed to follow the madhab of our sheikh, and you're saying that we should look into the proofs and the other madhab. How do we know? I said, because allamahul bayan. You are Bani Adam, my dear brother. You have intellectual awareness of things. You can look into what was said and gauge. And the Quran خاطبك في هذا الأمر. يا أيها الذين آمنوا. Oh, you who believe. So you should look into what the different scholars say, and you should find what's best for you, what you find is authentic in the Quran and Sunnah, and follow Islam accordingly. We have to look into the depth of the foundational principles of Islam, and I'm not talking about the 5 pillars. The 5 pillars is a basic general appearance of what Islam looks like. So praying 5 times a day, people fasting, that's something we're hoping 4-year-olds know. When we're talking about al-maqasid, wal-kulliyat, wal-furu', the objectives, the overarching foundations and principles of Islam, al-umur bi-maqasidiha, la darar wa la dirar, al-yaqeen la yazulu bil-shak. لا بد أن يكون للمسلم دراية بهذه الأمور. You have to have a deep understanding of these concepts. المشقة تجلب التيسير. الضرورة تبيح المحظورات. There are concepts in Islamic law that we should look into regarding intentions and actions, and what is something that would make me have to take this decision or that decision. Now, one of the great scholars, Abdurrahman al-Sa'di, he put together a small, beautiful poem, and he said in the very beginning, he said, الدين مبني على المصالح في جلبها والدرء للقبائح. He said the whole entire religion is based upon bringing about individual and social welfare for everyone, Muslim and non-Muslim. And it's the other side of that coin is in removing foul, corrupt, evil things that cause problems for society. This is the whole purpose of the religion. And that's why Imam al-Shatibi, one of the great Maliki scholars of Al-Andalus, of Spain, he wrote this book called Muwafaqat. And what he talked about is the objective principles of Islamic law. And it was a beautiful, amazing representation that is a huge dissertation in understanding Islam. A lot of why the youth and the modern folks are running from the religion is because some religious folk went through some bachelor degree and are real strict, and they see that the religion means we have to be hard on people. And they have forgot that one of the 5 overarching principles is al-mashaqqa tajlib al-taysir. And then you have these people fighting over groups. Our understanding is the true one, and those are wrong. Our madhab is the right one, and those are wrong. And so when we disagree with somebody, we condemn them and all of that, and we make a big division in the ummah. And we know that unity is one of the most uncompromisable universals of Islamic understanding. That's why it says, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ اهْدِنَا الصِّرَاطَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. Guide us to the straight path. We worship you. We praying in Jama'ah. Why is it so important to pray in a Jama'ah and to have a Salat al-Jama'ah? So that Muslims can gather together, get to know each other, build spiritually and generally as they are growing together. So the number one objective of Islamic law, there are 5 maqasid of Islamic law. Ad-dururat al-khams. The first one is ad-deen. The first one, to preserve monotheism, to preserve a monotheistic lifestyle. That's the most important thing of the Quran and Sunnah's teachings. And so when we're talking about living in a non-Muslim society, it's tough. There's so much environmental influence coming to lower down your guard about spiritual focus and awareness. So what we know is important, as the Prophet ﷺ did in the very beginning, when there was just a handful, when Arqam ibn Arqam became Muslim, he lived on the outskirts. of Mecca. So they used to all go there and visit there regularly. And the Muslims would try to all go there. When the Muslims went, they made a masjid in Quba. And then the Prophet ﷺ went farther when he came and he made the masjid in Nabawi. And people used to gather there all the time. And Mu'adh ibn Jabal, after a few years, they made masajid on the other side of Medina. Why? To facilitate other people to get there when it would take them a very long walk just to get to Salah. This is what was the foundational concept of building the Jama'ah. So now we're here in Charlotte, North Carolina, in a non-Muslim country where Muslims are not everywhere, but Muslims do have a presence. So the question is it in the best interest of Charlotte to have 3 mosques in 2 miles of each other? Can anybody logically deduce that? As a matter of fact, when researching a year ago when we started talking about the possibility of moving, I found many of the fatwa saying لا يجوز بناء مسجد قريب من مسجد آخر لذلك يفرق جماعة المسلمين. They're saying it's not right to build a mosque or to establish a mosque right next to or very close proximity to another mosque so that now you split the jama'ah of the Muslims. This is not acceptable, right? So we have a whole group of Muslims, maybe 3,000-4,000. Wallahu a'lam. I think we need to research it very well. But from our research about those that come here, we found in Mallard Creek, Highland Park, Concord, and Harrisburg, there are lots of Muslims. And they're trying to come here. And many of them said, it's just 20 minutes, 25 minutes in traffic. I can't make it to those programs. And so it's difficult for them. So we started to say, why? Alhamdulillah, the Muslims in South Charlotte said, we need our own masjid. And they were right in doing that, and they should have done that. So they went there. It would have been wrong for them to go to, say, Albemarle and right here. That would have been unrealistic and not in the best interest of the Muslims of Charlotte, right? So we have over there this area that needs to be having an Islamic Center, right? So in 2006, when the Muslim American Society got this loan offer from a group that are related to the Muslim American Society National Board, that we can give you a good loan and make an easy way for you to have an Islamic Center. It was mentioned in all of the discussions, let's try to find something in Northeast Charlotte. Well, they could not find it, and the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was that there was no way to use that money for that at that time. They didn't want the money to go away, they want to try to use it here. So they said, well, we have this school, and the school's struggling, and it's growing, and it needs something. So they said, you know what, maybe if we find this place, and they found this building here, then we can serve the school. And so maybe the school will buy it off of Mass, and the school will have its own facility. Or maybe while they're building Harrisburg Road and they start to try to build something over there, we can give them a nominal rent, and this school was rented for about a quarter of what any other size property like this would rent for. So that we can try to pay our bills to the people who loaned us. And we raised much more money, taking a hit for the sake of the school. So lots of discussions and so forth, and we come to find that there are many charter schools that are they've got the approval in Charlotte. Some of them have their wealth and they're ready to pay on the spot. So they said, well, now if we can find some place in Northeast Charlotte to take care of the need for Muslims to have an Islamic Center, to preserve their first objective of being Muslim, to have a place to gather close to their house to build the Jama'ah, then they would be able to do that and it would facilitate. So right now we're in the process of making this decision. So it might be clear to some of you, but it might not be clear to some others of you, particularly some email that was sent around. Somebody might say, well, this is a mosque endowment. This is waqf, masjid, la yajuz bay'uhu. This is not allowed to be sold ever until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Somebody might have this idea in their mind. And that's just somebody who heard something or read an email and didn't really talk to a personal scholar to have that person explain for this specific situation what is the real ruling on it. Rather, they just fished out for a general thing because of emotions. And as Muslims, we do not judge Islamic law by emotions. If it was the case, the deen would have gone away a long time ago. But alhamdulillah, we have a huge, rich, meticulously preserved, very disciplined scholarly tradition that nobody can stop, because first and foremost, sidq wa amana wa ikhlas. There is sincerity, honesty, and a trustworthy responsibility in taking and passing on information in the realm of scholars of Islamic law. So it all goes back to the concept of waqf, an endowment. The Prophet ﷺ was talking with Umar after the Battle of Khaybar. Umar found himself a large amount of land. and he already has land in a house and he doesn't feel he's going to be able to upkeep, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, what do I do with it? The Prophet ﷺ told him, تصدق بأصله فلا يباع ولا يهب ولا يورث. Then you should give it in charity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then it would not be sold, it would not be given away as a gift, and nobody will inherit it as an individual. And so that's like somewhat of a vague statement, and so the scholars have differed in interpreting that statement. The Hanafi, the Maliki, and the Shafi'i scholars took a very strict approach. The Hanafi scholars, they said if the person who is giving it puts a condition in the contract that I can put it into some other cause, then they're allowed to. The Malikis and the Shafi'is were very strict and literal. They said, no, what this means, anytime someone gives something for a charity, endowment, project, then that thing is going to be stuck in that situation. If it's something that can be moved and it's something that could be served in different places, but they took a very strict position about the masjid. If it was a land that was bought to build a mosque, and the one building that's on there is a mosque, and maybe there's some bathrooms and a mu'adhin and imam quarters, that's fine, those are secondary. But the general reality of it is a mosque, then that should be serving for the mosque. And we will talk about how and what context did they understand that. In the non-Muslim land where there's not Muslims everywhere, or in the Muslim land where there's Muslims everywhere, and that would be a disservice by taking one mosque away from where everybody is right there needing to go, and now all these people have to travel far to go to Fajr and elsewhere. So we have to look at terms, understanding why the scholars said what they said, and then the application in understanding how to properly apply. If we don't look at those things, then we have not done what Musa said, in a'udhu billahi an akuna min al-jahilin. We would never want to make an ignorant decision about something and cause problems with Muslims and break the jama'ah of the Muslims, when really we're just not taking an effort to sincerely, honestly, without any desires or whims involved in it, making a decision that's based purely on Quran and Sunnah and the understandings of the scholars. You might notice when I was discussing about the understanding of the hadith of Umar that I did not say Hanbali. Why? Because the Hanbali madhab took an easy route. They took an usuli route, right? They said that the issue here is that as long as this is being used for the purpose, it doesn't matter where it's at. As long as people are not being done a disservice, and a particular waqf, even if it is a masjid, I will give you the fatwa. Ibn Taymiyyah قال بجواز الاستبدال لما هو أنفع بالمسجد إذا بني بدله مسجد آخر أصلح لأهل البلد منه فهذا ونحوه جائز عند أحمد وغيره من العلماء. المسائل الماردين ابن تيمية صفحة 332. This is Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam, a Hanbali scholar. He is saying that you can take a masjid down and put it somewhere else if you find that it is in the best interest of the Muslims in that area, and that is the opinion of Imam Ahmad and other scholars. And he said, الدليل لذلك لما روى عن عمر رضي الله عنه نقل مسجد الكوفة القديم إلى مكان آخر وصار الأول سوقا للتمارين. So he's bringing a very clear-cut deal that happened in the time of Umar when he is the Khalifa. He told Abdullah bin Mas'ud to go there and to take the Masjid Kufa and to establish it in a different place. And then he said, we will use that as a place for buying and selling for the people who have dates and all of these things. Right? So this is, they're saying the first one cannot be understood as the three madhabs said, because why would Umar do that if that's what he understood from the Prophet ﷺ? So it's natural logic according to the Hanbali madhab. So there's two issues when doing this process according to a real scholarly position. The first is understanding realities. What is an endowment and what are the conditions of an endowment? Just because I said this is an endowment, what if I said across the street that's an endowment? Does that make it an endowment? What if I bought it and I'm a Muslim and I call it an endowment? That is not how things work in Islam. Al-ibra laysat bil-asma' innama hiya bil-musammayat. The principle in judging a reality in Islamic legal discourse is not by what you call it. I can say I'm the President of the United States, but that doesn't, everybody knows functionally I am not the President of the United States. I can say whatever I want. But the issue is what really is the thing you're talking about, right? So at the end of the day, a waqf is something that is conditional upon when you sign a contract that you are putting the money into a specific thing. And if it's a mosque, you say, we're buying this. So for example, this building right here, when it was bought, it was not bought or intended to be bought, nor is it written in the contract that this will be a mosque. It was bought to be a youth center. And anybody from ICC from back in the day knows that, and they're still arguing about that, because then they tried to use it as a mosque after that, and there was a big argument as a result. So the intention when buying it at the contract was not to establish a mosque, it was to establish a youth center facility, help the school, have some sort of a daycare. These are not the ijma' of the fuqaha, as we will see in Mufti Taqiyuddin's full fatwa that for some reason wasn't sent out, which is very long, but you have to read those things. You don't just look for what fits your desire and then send it out to everyone. You have to read the whole thing, make sure you know what you're talking about, so that we can spread the truth and build the unity of the Muslims, inshallah. So the question is, what is a mosque? Is this a mosque? I'll tell you, it's not a mosque. This is a jami'. A mosque is a place where all the salawat every day are there. There is imam ratib for all the salawat. People are coming for all the salawat. Its place is a mosque. It was built for that purpose. The land was made for that purpose. That is a mosque. Its general purpose is masjid, right? Other than that, you might add, like we said, bathrooms outside, quarters to that. Those are secondary. Here, this is primarily a school, number one, this building. And it's secondarily a daycare. And so when they bought it, 2 years after buying this facility, they turned this musalla, renovated it, and turned it into what they called Masjid An-Nur. And once again, you can call it Masjid Al-Nabawi, Masjid Al-Haram, but that doesn't make it Masjidun Shar'iyyun fi istilah al-fuqaha al-mu'tamadeen. We cannot just judge things on emotion. I'm telling you, this is a big problem in the Muslim world. It's causing all kind of fitna. We have to judge things based upon usuli-based understanding, principle-based understanding of Islamic law. So Jami' is a place where people go for ihtifalat, Eid, Jum'ah. That's Jami'. Everybody goes for Jum'ah. That's what they call the Jami'. Everybody's gathering there for one purpose a week. I will tell you, because I'm the imam here, that I've prayed Fajr by myself many times. I have prayed Fajr with 2-3 people on average. When we had a beautiful qari' with a beautiful recitation that I would have traveled to go listen to, we had 6-10 people at best at Fajr, right? And Isha, right now, Maghrib, Isha, nobody's coming here, right? I'm here for different groups of programs that we do. Right? So this is not a masjid fi istilah al-fuqaha. So that's another issue. Muslim versus non-Muslim lands. There's not Muslims living all around here that need a place to go, and so by moving it, you would be taking away their right. So the application is pure logic and common sense. When we look at the scholars and how they classify things and how they understand things, we come to a natural conclusion that all of the Muslims in Charlotte need to have a place that is in their vicinity that they can go build their Islamic identity and preserve their maqsad al-awwal, which is the religious monotheistic attachment and identity that we have to our religion. If you have 3 mosques in a central place where so many people are very far, then that hinders those people's ability to establish their primary purpose as a Muslim living particularly in these non-Muslim lands. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala an yufiqqana fi ad-din wa yu'allimana ta'wil ad-din wa yaghfir lana jami'a. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we are blessed with so many favors. And alhamdulillah, we have so much potential in this community. It is of the utmost importance that we support all projects and centers here. Harrisburg, the school, Mass, Shaheed, whichever one it is. As long as they're saying we believe in the Quran, we believe Muhammad ﷺ was the last prophet, the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were the great, beautiful generation who had the best pure understanding, and they were, as a generation, the best example to see how to build community. As long as they're saying that, and they're doing it to what we can see, we don't look into their hearts, we don't try to assume and shaitan's waswas and all of that, and we don't get hasad. If you want to be part of a center, then you find the center that fits your way of thinking and what you hope, because every center has a different angle or style. All of them inshallah are khair, and they all have their basis in Quran and Sunnah. But you don't go to one that you don't agree with the general methodology, and then you cause a problem. You want to go to where you fit in and it makes sense, and you feel comfortable, and you feel you're growing spiritually and progressing in your life as a Muslim, preparing for the death that will come eventually. So it's very important that we do this. And so I think that we all need to build on our unity. Alhamdulillah, what we see here is beautiful. Many different nationalities, backgrounds, scholarly inclinations. There are some scholars that take very strict paths, and that's fine. They see that as wara' and taqwa. Other scholars are taking a facilitated path and an understanding based upon interpretation, like Imam Ahmad with regarding the issue of moving and other issues. So I think it's our utmost importance importance as a small group of people in a large group, with a whole plot against us all the time, running full-fledged with all kinds of money and power and abilities and capabilities, to unify ourselves and support. And when somebody brings great scholars in Quran and Sunnah into the discussion about why I'm doing what I'm doing, if we don't necessarily agree with that interpretation, we accept that, and we follow whatever we follow, and we love our Muslim brothers and sisters, and we do not cause problems. I just wanted to finish with, there was an email that was sent out by Mufti Taqiyuddin Al-Uthmani, one of the great scholars of Pakistan. He's on the Muslim World League, and there was a part taken from that fatwa, and I think it's important to read another part of that fatwa. And it says, إن المواضع التي يصلي فيه المسلمون في البلاد الغربية على قسمين، الأول ما يتخذونه موضع صلاة للمسلمين ومحل اجتماعاتهم الدينية دون أن يجعلوه مسجدا فقهيا بأن يقف ذلك المحل والبناء كمسجد وذلك ربما يسمونها المركز الإسلامي. So the Shaykh is saying that the places where Muslims might get together and they make it a place to pray in the West, you will find that there are different types. So one of them is a place that they do pray there, and they gather there, and they have their Jumu'ah and other ijtima'at, the gatherings and so forth, but they don't make it a official mosque with the primary purpose is to be just a mosque in which they put in a conditional contract that this is an endowment mosque. He said, ذَلِكَ رُبَّمَا يُسَمُّونَ الْمَرْكَزِ الإسلامي. Those people, they'll call it Islamic Center, as is written on the sign outside, Mass Center. وَإِنَّ الْأَمْرَ فِي مِثْلِ هَذِهِ الْمَوَاضِعِ سَهْلٌ مَيْسُورٌ. And the situation of the Islamic ruling on these things is easy, simple to judge. لأنها وإن كانت تستعمل للصلاة فيها ليست مساجد شرعية لأن أهلها لم يجعلوها مسجدا فكلما أراد أهلها أن يبيعوا هذه المواضع لمصالح المسلمين جاز لهم ذلك بالإجماع. This is what the Shaykh is saying here, that if the people even use this place for a prayer, and they pray lots of their prayers, but not all of them, they don't make it an official Islamic legal mosque as it's understood in the fiqh books, then as long as if they wanted to buy or sell that property for the benefit of the Muslims, then it is allowed for them to do that by the consensus of Muslim scholars. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise our faith and our motivation to be spiritually inclined. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to illuminate our hearts with spirituality, with sincerity, with good, with positive feelings of love for our brothers and sisters in Islam, with a feeling of tolerance and understanding and respect, even if we disagree with people. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to join our hearts and to join our community and remove racism and the religious turmoil that Muslims have. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our sins and shortcomings and weaknesses, and guide us to all that is in our benefit as a whole, and raise amongst us leaders that will unify us and bring a pure understanding of the Quran and Sunnah that will be in the most best benefit to apply and to convey the message in this land, so that people can see the value and the beauty of Islam as the Prophet ﷺ lived and taught. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help our brothers and sisters and to give us a means to help them all over the world, in Syria and Palestine and Bangladesh and Africa and so forth. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to illuminate our lives with knowledge, wisdom, understanding and good character, and to remove from us arrogance, emotionalism, pride, conceit, and all of the evil ways of shaitan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all of this, remembering to send our peace and blessings and mercy to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.